Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, Truman. This is Lance Bernard broadcasting to you from the Roadkill Cafe, where fresh off the grill means two different things. And today I'm going to be talking to you about weaponry and weapons. And of course, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I have a slightly different take on things, a little bit strange in most people's opinions. I would say alternate views, in my own humble opinion. But there are a vast and various number of types of weaponry. And I'm a little curious as to what's happening with it. Oh, man. Yeah, it's cool. I must be hitting some nerves because because I'm having some weird things happening with my computer. No big deal. I'm not going to get paranoid about it. It's just crazy to get paranoid. And paranoia will destroy you. Think logically. Once again, we're going to be covering weapons and weaponry and my viewpoints toward what is actually weapon. I'm going to just shuffle through a little bit. And what you're looking at is weapons. Weapons that fly, weapons that shoot ships in the sea from World War I, and weapons that are considered to be or said to be ancient weapons. These beautiful pieces on the left, the swords, hilts and guards, are just fantastic. I craft swords myself. You might also wonder why I keep bringing up these wars. And my father was a sniper in World War II. My father was in the 82nd Airborne, and through the course of his fun times there, learned a lot, being sent out on missions, and then coming back with some serious psychological situations, having to deal with what he had to deal with. And didn't tell me about specific missions, but he did tell me about his viewpoints and attitudes toward what was going on and his curiosities, and he saw the carnage, but he also saw the political view aspects occurring, and that's what I've been bringing up in my past videos, is the political aspects that are too obvious to the guys that were on the inner circle in some areas. My father was a sniper under Patton. This is one of my pieces. I thought I'd just show you that. I'm not finished. I didn't finish this. And I haven't tempered it, and I haven't finished carving out some of the fundamental details. But these are also weapons. You go, why are these cards showing up? Weapon. Boom. Wand, lamp, bread. And the knowledge that we have, they say knowledge is power, and this has a whole lot to do with knowledge is power. There's a tone down here, and that's M. E minor. So, looking at and considering some of these, now if I were just to go into the details of this one particular card and all of the aspects in the associations with the Greek and Roman and also the Norse or Nordic gods, I would take a good hour on each card maybe. Back in the days of the ancient traditions, these knowledges were learned over a period of 13 years each card, sort of a thing. But these, the ones that I created for myself. I didn't create these to sell. I didn't create these to give to people. I created them so that I could understand for myself. It was 30 years ago. I spent 7 years researching the details to get them for myself. I didn't want to hand them out to people. As a matter of fact, I was pretty much told not to be handing this out to people because there's certain entities that you just might end up offending. Well, oh, I wish I could get to that image, but I will. Crying out loud. The electrostatic details of our universe have a lot to do with the advanced weaponry of the past. This is British weaponry in World War I. The size of those wheels. Just to make this look so cumbersome and awkward and archaic, it's frankly scaring. Scaring? It's scary and scaring me. Vapor trails. Is that a weapon? Nah, they're just putting some deodorant in the sky so we smell better. And these weapons are pretty, I mean, how much do you really need to put into massacring each other? We should live in a world of unity, and in my opinion, of course, it's crazy. And there's a whole lot of crazy when you bring up things that just don't match up with people's reality. And our reality is, of course, taught to us. We are trained to be. I grew up in a farm in Minnesota where I'm not at the farm now, I'm at the Roadkill Cafe. But we were taught bigotry, and we were taught to be, I mean, who remembers Pollock jokes? They used to be rampant, and it's just as many as the black jokes, and to joke and make fun of people. But when you look at facts and realities that do exist, that can be done and demonstrated and deployed, I wonder where it's gone, why it isn't used at this particular point. This last jet I showed you was known as the Flying Coffin. There were a variety of jets that the military put out, flying weapons. They were called the Flying Coffin because of the fact that they didn't work too good. They were still experimental. Just want to let you know those details, some of the unique and unusual weaponry that I ran into. I wouldn't really want my neighbor to have one of these in his backyard, but then if he hit me, then he'd take himself out. It's just thought-provoking on how much we put in to making hose. And these are weapons. These are known as ancient weapons. I will not bring up hose anymore. I dreadfully apologize for all of that. And the articulate and detailed nature of things. And as usual, I jump back and forth from issue to issue. And you may go, well, I want to hear more about that World War II stuff. This is a Chinese fabrication and creation. And it is always interesting to consider the fact that what is a weapon? What can be used to hurt people? What can be used to give assistance to people? Thinking about the details and wondering about what can be proven, what there is in the universe, or in our little section of the universe, what we call reality. It has a beautiful bow. Apologize for just glazing by that. And as far as looking really cool and probably being massively powerful. And another Civil War cannon. Now the Knights Templar and all of the concepts in dealing with the Red Shield and the Rothschild. I personally consider, when you think about the Knights Templar, this is a Knights Templar blade, I personally think, having been raised Catholic, that these guys went out and slaughtered people and took whatever they wanted in the name of the church, quote unquote. Now, that's what we're told. Let's all go ahead and believe that. And these are just, these are just mist coming off from the heat of the engines, even though they're coming off of these ones out here and barely coming off of these ones over here. So looking at the realities in our lives and considering what is and what isn't, and yet it's confusing at times. I like this image because it reminds me of the ancient weapons that are shown as ancient weapons that look like they have a ball on each side. I believe it's the direction of plasma, the electrostatic universe. I think that there may have been a whole lot different amount of electricity in the atmosphere. And the evidence of this is rampant, and people are doing more and more experiments all the time. The only thing, if you were going to direct this energy at somebody to use it to dissuade or thwart them, to push them away or strike them, you would need to be the positive end. Let's say you're over here on the left, shooting at the one on the right. They would have to be the the negative side, and you would have to have all the positive side to be able to, because otherwise you'd just be hitting the guy next to you, in my opinion. The interesting aspects of our universe from top to bottom are curious investigations that I'm glad people are getting into. This is weaponry, well, it's a statue in Great Britain, and most likely still there. Apparently seems to be quite an old photo, possibly or probably in the 30s, 34, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Konnichiwa, Toja. And this is, of course, a Japanese Hattori Hanzo. And so, everyone loves articulate and ornate, detailed craftsmanship like this. If you don't, that's okay too. I personally love that kind of stuff. This stuff, not so much. Putting all of our energy and resources into devastating things, yeah, I can't say this is an energy weapons test. However, yeah, it's more like a whirlwind in a fire, but the testing does need to occur when people create weapons. They have to test them. And this is a nice, what they call Greek. Now, my father was 100% Greek, and I, therefore, am the 50% Greek. And I am over 63. Just to let you know, just saying. Martin Liedtke mentions how the Phoenicians are the secret people that have actually taken over and are underneath and behind pretty much everything in the devious natures of things. And in my opinion, this is a Phoenician-looking piece. Even though I'm Greek, yep, me and the 300 went out with Leonidas and what is considered to be a weapon. The materials that are made and how we are developing. Now, this whole space photographer thing, this guy floating out taking pictures in space, I got to know who that guy is so I can send him a box of chocolates, because he's probably been out there forever, ever since the first satellite showed up. And this is levitation. This is electromagnetic levitation, which is something that I'm just bringing up for consideration. This is somebody I wish or hope doesn't get road rage. I wouldn't want to cut the guy off, personally, but that's just me. What the? I mean, how? Okay. I ain't going to go too crazy on it. I'm just showing you some pictures and going to let you know some details of these World War II and World War I cannons also. Because of the length of the barrel and the amount of friction that occurs when you shoot a projectile from this barrel, its length, the amount of weight that it has, it warps pretty fast. It warps real fast. And so you have to go, well, the engineers designed the logistics of that. Yeah, right. No, basically they built a big pile of junk and they fired it like 10 times, and then it... Wolverine. Hey, Logan, you're missing your gloves, buddy. I had a friend named Colby who would love to have these, just to scratch up his walls, because he's kind of a wild guy. He went to China for 2 years and trained in a Shaolin temple. Crazy bastard. This is also one of curious, known as an ancient weapon. And the information I was talking about, the electrostatic nature of our universe, is once again a curiosity. How does that work? You know, how do you make yourself the end of the positive or the negative ground and the other? These are Skyrim. I'm glazing over some Skyrim weaponry in a game. And if we get it all together, we might need something like this to kind of get all of our information together and decide for ourselves whether or not vibrations and symbols have a power. You know, words. Gee, I wonder if they've got a power. Battery, a curiosity I have also is battery and battery. This is a battery of artillery, and these are batteries. That's all I'm saying. I'm glad I don't have one of these in the backseat of my car. I think I wouldn't have enough of these projectiles, but that's just my agitated nature. This is a North Korean test military exercise, and so is this. Just to give you an idea of the scale and size of things that shoot a big chunk of metal. I mean, they'd shoot a big chunk of lead or metal or explosive head. Yeah. So accessing our electrostatic universe, here's a diagram that goes through the different wattages. In the lower area, you have the lowest amount of wattage, and as you progress upwards, it advances. To access the ions or the electrical particles, basically you just put a weather vane on it, and it brings in micrometers or small amounts of electricity. If you put on a 6-pointed star, it brings in more as long as they have points at the tip. And I mentioned that in an earlier video, Captain Kirk. This motor, I was going to say Captain Kirk is the name of the website owner that I ran across that runs across electricity in the air and how to access the electricity in the air. And this is the essence of what's known as Antiquatech. So the Corona motor runs off of the electrostatic, and why wouldn't they have these long ago? Well, they didn't have them because that's what I was told. Okay, go ahead and believe whatever you... So these are obvious ways to injure people. I wouldn't want to be punched by the glove over there. That's kind of ouchish. But the obvious natures of weapons, and then the not so obvious natures, like these, in consideration. There's a guy out in Montana or Wyoming that does the tests of the atmosphere and dealing with, well, I had him up earlier, but I don't right now, in dealing with the chemtrails and the chemicals that are coming down on us. Now, this guy lives out in a remote area, and just look up dangerous chemtrails. You'll probably find his video. And he measures what's coming down even in his remote area. And frankly, it's concerning. You know, you want to think occasionally about what could be being done. I mean, it's obviously being done to the skies. So there are some meticulously beautiful ornamental pieces that are known as weaponry. And there are some really ugly things. I mean, it's just not pretty. Couldn't have made that pretty? I mean, look at the truck. For crying out loud. Put a Mercedes on the front or something like Rolls Royce. The amount this thing costs. Don't rant. But no, I wouldn't want to. And I wonder what's in there. Is there like a family of 5 in there? I mean, it's, wow. Our chemtrails, are they, I don't know, are they working with the weather? Or are they working with what? So, the types of weaponry that we have, now I haven't, once again, this situation where I'm talking about ancient pieces and types of weaponry that, you know, these are obvious types of weaponry. That's obvious. It's very uniquely and intricately carved. This is obvious. But when you get to something like this, what are you going to do? Go poke him in the head with that? No, and I believe that the knowledge of the past was, you know, and people go, well, it's far more advanced than, well, highly likely that it was, considering there's so many things that they did and obviously did. What are we doing? You guys aren't doing it. But we can notice, and we can wonder, and we can be concerned. This is World War I, but not overly concerned. You know, to get paranoid about things and to be rational about things, you know, stay rational. Take it easy, you know, and just take a look at the facts and information, make conclusions for yourself and determinations that don't necessarily have to do with they're out to get us. And once again, I'm having the difficulty in the maneuvering of my details. And you might go, well, your computer's really a piece of crap. Yeah, but see, that's not it, because of the fact that I have a variety of images that are not actually even appearing And I suppose I can leave you with this one final weapon, and just let you know that knowledge is power, and to be able to cultivate that power within yourself is something that takes time, intelligence, and there are fail-safes built in: a pentacle, a salt, and a sickle, known as weapons. So, I'm going to leave you probably a lot more curiosities than I solved, but that's just my way of caring for you. So, thank you for listening to me at the Roadkill Cafe, and I hope to have another fantastic and interesting off-the-wall presentation from my haphazard channel. I'm still studying, so thank you for putting up with my learning curve. And love each other. Thanks. And I'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Sayonara.